But there is only one thing that we could possibly lead with today, and that is Timothy Geithner. He is, I believe, the most qualified guy for the Treasury Secretary job. He's the guy I would have picked. I also would not have picked him because it's not just about his credentials. It's more than that. Banks and politicians trust him. And maybe at this point in our country's history, that's exactly why we shouldn't. In a country where thousands of people are losing their jobs, we are promoting a guy who has made 3 major errors in judgment, any one of which would have put you or me in the unemployment line. First, he's the guy that developed the TARP program. You know, the program where we've already lost over 25% of our money in that can't-miss invest. No, really, America, we're just going to put it over in this bank over here. You're going to be worth a fortune in 5 years. Really? We've already lost over $64 billion. Tim, I think that whole TARP thing, you might want to leave that off your resume. Second, Geithner cheated on his income taxes. It wasn't just once, it was like a lot of times. He even accepted cash for taxes he never paid. He appeared before Congress today, and while he didn't cry, he did say he was sorry, and gosh darn it, we sure do love apologies. Yes, Senator, I do know that I sold nuclear secrets to China, but I'm really, really sorry. Can I still be in the cabinet? I don't think so, clown. Again, this is not about his judgment. This is not about, his qualifications. This is about his judgment, not to mention his ability to run our tax system and the printing presses, which are currently going 24 hours a day. And third, he employed an illegal immigrant in his home. Now, let's just say he doesn't care about all of that, and he's got a compassion. This is a good person. He's a public figure. I mean, as a public figure, you can say, I really love you, but I can't have this coming down on my head. If there's any question about somebody's status, there's no question they shouldn't be working for you, at least because you're a public figure and you might get caught. With the amount of power given to the Treasury Secretary, we need to know we have somebody who will act with honor, even when nobody is watching. That apparently is not Tim Geithner. We don't need a gambler in charge of America's money. So the question is, when will America finally say, you know what, I think I learned my lesson. Enough is enough. No one is too big to fail. No one in this country is above the law. Those pushing for him are the same clowns that got us into this mess in the first place. And another thing, how can we teach our kids that business ethics matter when they apparently don't matter to America's top money man? You can't do business with somebody, anybody, if you can't look that person in the eye and trust them. Everything we know so far about this guy suggests that we cannot trust Timothy Geithner. He is a gambler with his own life and possibly with our money. This guy wants an unlimited bankroll, our bankroll. It's time to cut him off. If Timothy Geithner can be stopped, it's probably going to be a Republican who does it. So who's going to stand up and say, no, I don't think you should really be running the IRS? With us now is Michelle Malkin, syndicated columnist and Fox News contributor. Michelle, how are you? So nice to meet you in person.
Congrats, Glenn.
Thank you.
I wouldn't have missed this.
Thank you very much. So, Timothy Geithner, where am I wrong on this?
You're absolutely right, of course. Only in Washington do you put the arsonist in charge of the fire department. That's what we've got here, okay?
It is.
And it is so typical of the Washington mentality in both parties for them to lecture the American people and scream like chickens with their heads cut off that forget about all of these transgressions, forget about the fact that it's clear that this tax evasion was purposeful. We're in a crisis. We're in a crisis. We don't have time. We don't have time to consider all of his ill judgment here. Just put him in charge. When, as you say, Glenn, he has a record of failure. It's not just the tax issue. It's not just the illegal immigrant issue. It's the fact that as chairman of the New York Federal Reserve, this guy looked the other way while Citigroup failed and basically presided over all of these failed bailouts.
Right, and he was really kind of in charge of kind of the oversight. I mean, he was really looking at the oversight on it.
Right, and now we're going to expect him to do the oversight that he wouldn't do when he was chairman of the New York Federal Reserve. Give me a break.
Here's where I keep coming back on him being a gambler. He looked the camera in the eye and the American people today and said, look, I just used TurboTax to do my taxes. Okay, the financial genius using TurboTax. And then he said, he actually had the cojones to say, I don't remember, I don't think it warned me or prompted me, that I owed taxes. Well, excuse me, but anybody in America who's used TurboTax, it prompts you. It asks you. We called TurboTax. It does it.
That's right. Look, anybody who saw all of those documents that the Senate Finance Committee put up on their website almost 2 weeks ago now can see that this guy is, a deliberate tax cheat. Of course, that's not somebody we want to put in charge.
He's gambling that no one will say anything.
And guess what? Unfortunately, it looks like a good gamble because all the signs show that the Republicans are going to roll on this, and that is really what makes me mad. Geithner and Obama's chutzpah is one thing, but the fact that the loyal party of opposition is going to be the party of supplication makes me want to gag even more.
They're both in on it, and you know what it is. It's like the Madoff story. Everybody, the clues were all there with Madoff. They were all there. The SEC was warned, I think, 6 times. People came and said, look, I have nothing to gain. Something's not right here. But they looked the other way. And I think people were doing it because they had a chance. They wanted to believe. They wanted to believe I can make this money. Here, I think it's the same thing. Americans and Congress and everybody else wants to believe this guy can work magic and make it all go away. So they'll overlook warning signs. When do we stop overlooking warning signs? What is it going to take, Michelle, for America to finally say, you know what, I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson. I have to have somebody who I can trust.
We have to delude ourselves into thinking that Washington can learn from history. That's the problem. And it's not just long-term history, but, I always use the analogy of Dory the fish from Finding Nemo. She has a short-term amnesia all the time. And that is the way it is with these congressmen. Can't they see that bailout after bailout, stimulus palooza after stimulus palooza, they can't